Bandeyam Shigaro Shiyata Parakamlam Shigaran Vaishnavam Sya Shirupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shirara Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishkam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timaranda Shya Jnanajana Shlakya Chakshurum Milidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurkam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastaveda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Guruncha Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyadhanum Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubhanam Maneka Sharanam Nyashishwara Sridharam Vanshakopatarubyas Chakripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavananyaya Krishna Prema Pranayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami with translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is the Madhya-lila chapter 5, the activities of Sakshi-gopal. Verse number 1. Padbyam shalanya pratima swarupo brahmanya devo ishataha gamyam desham yayo vipra krite duteham tam sakshi gopalam aham natosmi. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahmanya Deva, who appeared as Sakshi-gopal to benefit a Brahmin. Walking on his own legs, he traveled for 100 days through the country. Thus his activities are wonderful. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivedanta. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chalite Chalite Island, Yajapura Gram, Varahata Kuriya Deki Korila Pranam. Walking and walking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his party finally arrived at Yajapur on the river Vaitarani. There he saw the temple of Varahadev and offered his obeisances unto him. So from Ramuna now to Mahaprabhu is walking and he comes to Yajapur on his way to Jagannath Puri. Nirjagita Koila Preme Bahuta Stavan Yajapure Se Ratri Korila Japan. In the temple of Varahadev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in chanting and dancing and offered prayers. He passed that night in the temple. Katake Aila Sakshi-gopal Dekite Gopala Sundarya Deki Hoila Nandite. Afterwards, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the town of Cuttak to see the temple of Sakshi-gopal. When he saw the deity of Gopal, he was very much pleased by his beauty. Prema Vesena Gita Koila Katakan Avishta Hoya Koila Gopala Stavan. While there, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in chanting and dancing for some time, and being overwhelmed, he offered many prayers to Gopal. Se Ratri Tahan Rahe Bhaktagan Sange Gopalara Purva Kata Shune Bahurange. That night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in the temple of Gopal and along with all the devotees heard the narration of the witness Gopal with great pleasure. So the witness Gopal is, of course, Sakshi-gopal. Nityananda Gosai Jabe Tirtha Brahmila Sakshi-gopal Dekibare Katakaila. Previously, when Nityananda Prabhu had toured all over India to see different places of pilgrimage, he also had come to see Sakshi-gopal at Cuttak. Sakshi-gopal Larakata Shuni Loka Muke Se Kata Kohen Prabhu Shune Mahasuke. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu had heard the story of Sakshi-gopal from the townspeople. He now recited this again, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the narration with great pleasure. Purve Vidyanagare Duita Brahman Tirtha Koribare Duhe Korilagaman. Formerly at Vidyanagar in South India, there were two Brahmins who made a long tour to see different places of pilgrimage. Gaya Varanasi Prayag Sakala Korea Maturate Aila Duhe Anandita Hoya. First of all, they visited Gaya, then Kashi, then Prayag. Finally, with great pleasure, they came to Mathura. Vanajatrai Vanadeki Deki Govardhan Dwarasha Vanadeki Seshe Gela Brindavan. After reaching Mathura, they started visiting the different forests of Vrindavan and came to Govardhan Hill. They visited all 12 forests, vanas, and at last came to the town of Vrindavan. Vrindavane Govindastane Mahadevaloy Se Mandire Gopalera Mahasevahoy. In the village of Panchakroshi, Vrindavan, at the site where the Govinda temple is now situated, there was a great temple where gorgeous worship of Gopal was performed. Keshi Tirtha Kaliya Radhalike Koilasnan Shri Gopala Dekitahan Korila Vishram. After taking baths at different bathing places along the river Jamuna, such as Keshi Ghat and Kaliya Ghat, the pilgrims visited the temple of Gopal. Afterwards, they took rest in that temple. Gopala Sundarya Duhar Mana Nila Hari Sukapaya Rahitahan Dina Duichari. The beauty of the Gopal deity stole away their minds, and feeling great happiness, they remained there for 2 to 4 days. Dui Vipra Madhye Ek Vipra Bridaprai Ara Vipra Juba Tara Korana Sahai. One of the two Brahmins was an old man, and the other was young. The young man was assisting the old one. Shota Vipra Kore Sada Tahara Sevan Tahara Sevaya Vipra Tushta Hoilaman. Indeed, the young Brahmin always rendered service to the older one, and the old man, being very satisfied with his service, was pleased with him. Viprabole tumi mora bahu seva koila sahai hoya more tirta koraila. The older man told the younger, "You have rendered various types of service to me. You have assisted me in traveling to all these places of pilgrimage. Putreo pitara aiche nakore sevan tomara prasadayami napailama shram." Even my own son does not render such service. By your mercy, I did not become fatigued while on this tour. Kritanato hoy tomai na koile saman ateva tomai ami diva kanyadan. If I did not show you any respect, I would be ungrateful. Therefore, I promise to give you my daughter in charity. Chota Vipra Kohe Shuna Vipra Mahashai Asambhava Kaha Kene Jay Nahi Hoy. The younger Brahmin replied, My dear sir, please hear me. You are saying something very unusual. Such a thing never happens. Mahakulina Tumi Vidya Danade Praveen Ami Akulina Aradhana Vidyahin. You are a most aristocratic family man, well educated and very rich. I am not at all aristocratic, and I am without a decent education and have no wealth. Kanyadan putrami na hoy tomar Krishna pritye kore tomar seva vyabahar. Sir, I am not a suitable bridegroom for your daughter. I render service to you only for the satisfaction of Krishna. Brahmana sevaya Krishna priti morahoy tahara santoshe bhakti sampad badai. Lord Krishna is very much pleased by service rendered to Brahmins, and when the Lord is pleased, the opulence of one's devotional service increases. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur comments that the younger Brahmin rendered service to the older one with the purpose of pleasing Krishna. It was not a matter of ordinary worldly dealings. Krishna is pleased when a Vaishnava is rendered service. Because the younger Brahmin served the older one, Lord Gopal agreed to become a witness of the marriage negotiation in order to maintain the prestige of both devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would certainly not have liked to hear about marital dealings unless such dealings were exchanged between two Vaishnavas. Marriage arrangements and ceremonies belong to ordinary material karmakanda sections of the scriptures. The Vaishnavas, however, are not interested in any kind of karmakanda dealings. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, Kevala, Visharabandha. For a Vaishnava, the Karmakanda and Jnanakanda sections of the Vedas are unnecessary. Indeed, a real Vaishnava takes these sections as a poison pot, Visharabandha. Sometimes we take part in a marriage ceremony for our disciples, but this does not mean that we are interested in karmakanda activities. Sometimes, not knowing the Vaishnava philosophy, an outsider criticizes such activity, maintaining that a sannyasi should not take part in a marriage ceremony between a young boy and a young girl. However, this is not a karmakanda activity because our purpose is to spread the Krishna conscious movement. We are giving all facility to the general populace to take to Krishna consciousness, and in order to fix the devotees in concentration on the service of the Lord, marriage is sometimes allowed. We have experienced that such married couples actually render very important service to the mission. Therefore, one should not misunderstood when a sannyasi takes part in a marriage ceremony. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu took great pleasure in hearing about the marriage ceremony between the young Brahmin and the daughter of the elderly Brahmin. Bharavi prakohetumi nakora samshai tomake kanyadiva ame korela nishoy. The older Brahmin replied, My dear boy, do not doubt me. I will give you my daughter in charity. I've already decided this. Chota vipra bole tomar stri putra sab bahugyante goshti tomar bahuta bandav. The younger Brahmin said, You have a wife and sons, and you have a large circle of relatives and friends. Tasavar samati bina nahi kanyadan rukminera pita bhishmaka tahate brahman. Without the consent Of all your family and relatives, it is not possible to give me your daughter in charity. Just consider the story of Queen Rukmini and her father Bhishmaka. Bhishmakara Icha Krishna Kanya Samarpite Putrera Virode Kanya Narila Arpite. King Bhishmaka wanted to give his daughter Rukmini in charity to Krishna, but Rukmi, his eldest son, objected. Therefore, he could not carry out his decision. Boraviprakohe Kanya Mora Nijadan Nijadana Dite Nishedibe Konjan. The elderly Brahmin said, my daughter is my own property. If I choose to give my property to someone, who has the power to stop me? Tomake Kanya Diba Sabake Kore Tiraskar Samshayana Kora Tumi Koraha Swikar. My dear boy, I will give my daughter to you in charity, and I will neglect the position of all others. Don't doubt me in this regard, just accept my proposal. Chota Vipra Kohejari Kanya Diteman Gopalera Age Kaha E Satyavajan. The younger Brahmin replied, if you have decided to give your young daughter to me, then say so before the Gopal deity. Gopalera Age Vipra Kohite Lagila Tumijan Nijakanya Iharayami Dila. Coming before Gopal, the elderly Brahmin said, my dear Lord, please witness that I have given my daughter to this boy. Chotavipra Bole Thakur Tumi Mora Saki Tomasaki Bolai Mu Jari Anyata Deki. Then the young Brahmin addressed the deity, saying, my dear Lord, you are my witness. I shall call for you to testify if it is necessary later on. Eta Bole Duijane Chalela Deshere Guru Budye Chota Vipra Bahu Seva Kore. After these talks, the two Brahmins started for home. As usual, the young Brahmin accompanied the elderly Brahmin as if the older Brahmin were a guru, spiritual master, and rendered him service in various ways. Deshiashi Duijane Gela Nijagare Katadine Boravipra Chintita Antare. After returning to Vidyanagar, each Brahmin went to his respective home. After some time, the elderly Brahmin became very anxious. Tirte Vipre Bhakya Dilon Kemate Satya Hoy Sri Putra Gyati Bandhu Jani Benisjoy. He began to think, I have given my word to a Brahmin in a holy place, and what I promised will certainly come to pass. I must now disclose this to my wife's sons, other relatives, and friends. Ekdin Nijalok Ekatra Korila Tasavar Agesab Britanta Kohila. Thus one day the elderly Brahmin called for a meeting of all his relatives and friends, and before them all he narrated what had taken place in front of Gopal. Shunisab Goshtitara Kore Hahakar Aichebat Muketumina Anibear. When those who belonged to the family circle heard the narration of the old Brahmin, they made exclamations showing their disappointment. They all requested that he not make such a proposal again. Nichikanya Dile Kula Jaibika Nash Shunia Sakalalo Koribe Upahas. They unanimously agreed, if you offer your daughter to a degraded family, your aristocracy will be lost. When people hear of this, they will make jokes and laugh at you. So here they're referring to a degraded family. It means that's how they're referring to the young Brahmin, because he's from a poor family and he doesn't have a proper education. He didn't go to the university or anything like that. So they are objecting. that you are offering your daughter, who's from our aristocratic family, to such a poor, uneducated person, therefore from, we say, a degraded family. This cannot happen. When people hear this, they will make jokes and laugh at you. Viprabole tirta bhakya kemone korean, jay hauk say hauk, amidiba kanyadan. The elderly Brahmin said, "How can I undo the promise I made in a holy place while on pilgrimage? Whatever may happen, I must give him my daughter in charity." Gyati lok na himora tomake chadiba, Sri putra kahi visha kaya mariba. The relatives unanimously said, "If you give your daughter to that boy, we shall give up all connection with you." Indeed, his wife and sons declared, "If such a thing happens, we shall take poison and die." So they're very determined that this will not happen. Even his own wife says, "If you do this, I will take poison." And the sons also say, "Viprabole saki bolaya koribe kanyai jiti kanya labe mora vyarta dharma hoy." The elderly Brahmin said, "If I do not give my daughter to the young Brahmin, he will call Sakshi-gopalji as a witness. Thus he will take my daughter by force, and in that case, my religious principles will become meaningless." Putra bole pratimasaki seho dura se putra bole pratimasaki seho dura deshe ketomara saki dibe chinta kora kishe. His son replied, "The deity may be a witness, but he is in a distant country. How can he come to bear witness against you? Why are you so anxious over this?" Nahi kohena kohia e mitya bachan, sabe kohibe mora kichu nahika smaran. You do not have to flatly deny that you spoke such a thing. There is no need to make a false statement. Simply say that you do not remember what you said. Oh, so that won't be a false statement also. The son says, deity's far away, and you don't have to lie. Just all you have to say is I don't remember. I don't remember. Just say you don't remember what you said. This politicians do all the time. Tumi jadi kaha ami kichwe na jani tabi ami nyaya kore brahmanarjini. If you simply say, "I do not remember," I shall take care of the rest. By argument, I shall defeat the young Brahmin. Etashuni vipra chintita hoilaman, ekanta bhave chinte vipra gopala charan. When the elderly Brahmin heard this, his mind became very much agitated. Feeling helpless, he simply turned his attention to the lotus feet of Gopal. Muradharma rakapai nak more nijajan, dui raka koragopal, loinu sharana. The elderly Brahmin prayed, "My dear Lord Gopal, I have taken shelter of your lotus feet, and therefore I request you to please protect my religious principles from disturbance and at the same time save my kinsman from dying." Emata vipra chite chintite lagila aradina lago vipra tara garayaila. The next day, the elderly Brahmin was thinking deeply about the matter when the young Brahmin came to his house. Ashinya parama bhakye namaskara kori vinoy korinya kohe koradui judi. The young Brahmin came to him and offered respectful obeisances. Then, very humbly, folding his hands, he spoke as follows. Tumi more kanya dile koryacha angikar ebe kichu nahi kaha kitomara bichar. You have promised to give your daughter in charity to me. Now you do not say anything. What is your conclusion? So over the years, you could also see these kind of arguments between considerations of aristocracy and somebody outside the aristocracy being considered undesirable and of low class. You could see them in the royalty of England. In the royalty of England, there was these kind of dealings when they, with the marriage of Diana and all, so many things. These were in the news. Tumi more kanya dite koracha angikar ebe kichu nahi kahai kito mara bichar. You have promised to give your daughter in charity to me. Now you do not say anything. What is your conclusion? Itashuni se vipro rohimona dori taraputra marite aina hate tenga kori. After the young Brahmin submitted this statement, the elderly Brahmin remained silent. Taking this opportunity, his son immediately came out with a stick to strike the younger man. Are Adama mora bagni chaha vira vivahite vamana hoya chanda jena chahata darite. The son said, Oh, you are most degraded. You want to marry my sister, just like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon. Tehodeki se vipra polaya gela aradina gramara lok ekatra korila. This is a very nice example that you hear often of the great disparity, something that's not at all possible, you say, like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon. The son said, Oh, you are most degraded. You want to marry my sister just like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon. Teya deki se vipra polaya gela aradin gramera lok ekatra korila. Seeing a stick in the hand of the son, the younger Brahmin fled. The next day, however, he gathered together all the people of the village. Sablok bora vipre dakiya anila tavise lagu vipra kohite lagila. All the people of the village then called for the elderly Brahmin and brought him to their meeting place. The young Brahmin then began to speak before them as follows. Ihamore kanya dite korache angikar ebejena dena pucha ihara vyabahar. This gentleman has promised to hand over his daughter to me, yet now he does not follow his promise. Please ask him about his behavior. Tabise viprere puchila sarvajan kanya kenene na deho jari diacha vachan. Tabise viprere puchila sarvajan kanya kene na deho jari diacha vachan. All the people gathered there asked the elderly Brahmin, If you have already promised to give him your daughter in charity, why are you not fulfilling your promise? You have given your word of honor. Viprako he shunalok more nibedan kabeki boliache moranahika smaran. The elderly Brahmin said, My dear friends, please hear what I have to submit. I do not exactly remember making a promise like that. Eta shuni taraputra bhakya chalapan. Eta shuni taraputra bhakya chalapana. Pragalba hoya kohes samuke ashinya. Then the elderly Brahmin's son heard. When the elderly Brahmin's son heard this, he took the opportunity to juggle some words. Becoming very impudent, he stood before the assembly and spoke as follows. Tirtha Jatrai, Pitar Sange, Chila Bahudan, Danadeki Edustera, Loite Hoilaman. While touring various holy places of pilgrimage, my father carried much money. Seeing the money, this rogue decided to take it away. Arakeho sange nahi e sange ekala Dutura Kaojana Bape Korila Pagal. There was no one besides this man with my father, giving him an intoxicant known as Dutara to eat. This rogue made my father mad. Sabdana loya kohe chore loiladan kanyadite chahijache utaila bachan. Having taken all my father's money, this rogue claimed that it was taken by some thief. Now he is claiming that my father has promised to give him his daughter in charity. Having taken all my father's money, this rogue claimed that it was taken by some thief. Now he is claiming that my father has promised to give him his daughter in charity. Tomara sakalalo koraha bichare mora pitar kanyadite jogyaki ihare. All of you assembled here are gentlemen. Please judge whether it is befitting to offer this poor Brahmin my father's daughter. Etashuni lokaramane hoilas samshai sambhavedana lobe lok chade dharma bai. Hearing all these statements, all the people gathered there became a little doubtful. They thought it quite possible that because of attraction for riches, one might give up his religious principles. Tabe chota vipra kohe shuna mahajan nyaya jinibare kohe asatya bachan. At that time the young Brahmin said, "My dear gentlemen, please hear. Just to gain victory in an argument, this man is lying. E vipra mora sevai tushta jabe hoila toriame kanyadiba apane kohila." Being very satisfied with my service, this Brahmin said to me of his own accord, "I promise to hand over my daughter to you." Tabe mui nishedinu shuna dvijabar tomara kanjara jogya nahi muibar. At that time I forbade him to do this, telling him, "O best of the Brahmins, I am not a fit husband for your daughter." Kahantumi pandita dani paramakulina kahanmui daridra murka nicha kulahina. Whereas you are a learned scholar, a rich man belonging to an aristocratic family, I am a poor man, uneducated, with no claim to aristocracy. Tabu e vipramore kohe barbar tore kanya dilun tumi koraha swikar. Still this Brahmin insisted again and again. He asked me to accept his proposal, saying, "I have given you my daughter, please accept her." Tabi ame kohilan shuna mahamati tomanastri putra gyatir na habisamati. I then said, "Please hear, you are a learned Brahmin. Your wife, friends, and relatives will never agree to this proposal." Kanyadite narive habe asatya bachan punarape kohe vipra koreya jata. My dear sir, you will not be able to fulfill your promise. Your promise will be broken. Yet again and again, the Brahmin emphasized his promise. Kanyatore dilon dvida na koriyam chite atma kanya diba keba pare nishedite. I have offered you my daughter. Do not hesitate. She is my daughter, and I shall give her to you. Who can forbid me? Tabeame kohilan dreda koreman gopalera age koha e satya vachan. At that time, I concentrated my mind and requested the Brahmin to make the promise before the Gopal deity. Tabe iho gopalera agete kohila tumijan e vipre kanya amidila. Then this gentleman said in front of the Gopal deity, "My dear Lord, please bear witness. I have offered my daughter to this Brahmin in charity." Tabayame gopalere saki korenya kohilan tara pare minate korenya. Accepting the Gopal deity as my witness, I then submitted the following at his lotus feet. Jadiye vipramore nadibe kanyadan saki bolai mutomai Hao Sabadan. If this Brahmin later hesitates to give me his daughter, my dear Lord, I shall call on you as a witness. Please note this with care and attention. E Bhakti Sakhi Mora Ache Mahajan, Jaravakya Satyakore Mane Tribhuvan. Thus I have called upon a great personality in this transaction. I have asked the Supreme Godhead to be my witness. The entire world accepts the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tabe Bora Vipra Kohe E Satya Kata Gopal Jadi Sakhi Dena Apane Ashi Eta Tabe Kanya Dibahami Janiya Nisjoy Taraputra Kohe E Balo Batahoy. Taking this opportunity, elderly Brahman immediately confirmed that this was really true. He said, if Gopal personally comes here to serve as a witness, I shall surely give my daughter to the young Brahmin. The elderly Brahmin's son immediately confirmed this, saying, yes, this is a very nice settlement. As the Supersoul within the heart of all living entities, Krishna knows everyone's desire, everyone's request, and everyone's prayer. Although all these may be contradictory, the Lord has to create a situation in which everyone will be pleased. This is an instance of a marriage negotiation between an elderly Brahmin and a youthful one. The elderly Brahmin was certainly willing to give his daughter in charity to the young Brahmin, but his son and relatives became impediments to this transaction. The elderly Brahmin considered how to get out of this situation and still offer his daughter to the young Brahmin. His son, an atheist and a very cunning fellow, was thinking of how to stop the marriage. The father and son were thinking in a contradictory way, yet Krishna created a situation wherein they agreed. They both agreed that if the Gopal deity would come and serve as a witness, the daughter would be given to the young Brahmin. Bora Vipra Mane Krishna Bora Doyavan Abhashya Mora Bhakya Deho Koribe Praman. The elderly Brahmin thought, since Lord Krishna is very merciful, he will certainly come to prove my statement. Putrena Mane Pratimana Ashibe Sakidite Ebuje Dui Jan Hoila Samate. The atheistic son thought, it is not possible for Gopal to come and bear witness. Thinking thus, the father and son agreed. Chota Vipra Bole Putra Koraha Likan Punajena Nahichale E Sabachan. The young Brahmin took this opportunity. Please write this down on paper, in black and white, so that you may not again change your word of honor. Tabi sab log mele patrata likila duhara samate loya madhyasta rahila. All the assembled people got this statement down in black and white, and taking the signatures of agreement from both of them, served as the mediators. Tabi chota vipra kohe shuna sarvajan e vipra satya bhakya dharma parayan. The young Brahmin then said, will all you gentlemen present please hear me? This elderly Brahmin is certainly truthful and is following religious principles. Swabhakya chandite ihara nahi kabuman swajana mrityu bhaye kohe asatya vachan. He had no desire to break his promise, but fearing that his kinsman would commit suicide, he deviated from the truth. Ihara punye krishne ani Sakshi-gopal tabe e viprara satya pratigya rakiva. By the piety of the elderly Brahman, I shall call the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a witness. Thus I shall keep his truthful promise intact. Etashune nastika lok upahasa kore kehobole ishwara doyalu asite hopane. Hearing the emphatic statement of the younger Brahmin, some atheists in the meeting began to cut jokes. However, someone else said, after all, the Lord is merciful, and if he likes, he can come. Tabese chota vipra gela brindavan, dandavat kore kohe saba vivaran. After the meeting, the young Brahmin started to Vrindavan. Upon arriving there, he first offered his respectful obeisances to the deity and then narrated everything in full detail. So tomorrow I'll continue from this place. Mridanga. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Maranamon Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna Echai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jaoite Vignana Shamista Puran Krishna Nitya-lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majaya Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhariju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Tilak Nehriya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmawacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadra Sri Sriman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadra Sri Sriman Srila Bhakti Rakshira Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Se Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Vishwabaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Sri Namadip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Sri Koladeep Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju Ki Jai. Shri Purushottam Adam Ki Jai. Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shri Nrsingadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Shri Ki Jai. Shri Guru Purnima Ki Jai. Srila Sanatan Goswami Tirobhav Mahotsav Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Brahmanande Hare Hare Bol.